Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our today's exciting interview. Before we dive into all that, let me introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Pronicheva, and joining me today are Rafael Vasquez, Ivana Grayson, Ana Pineda, and today our guest is Bob Weintraub.
Hi. Happy to be here.
Yeah, a business leader with over 30 years of experience across industries like financial services, telecommunications, healthcare, and technology. From Fortune 500 companies to his own entrepreneurial ventures, he's done it all. Today, we'll get to hear some incredible insights from him.
Okay, so now we're going to start with the questions. We all know you have an impressive career journey, across different sectors. So our question to you is, what would you say were the most transferable skills that helped you adapt between industries?
Most transferable skills that help me adapt. It's a great question. Regardless of what industry you're in, the ability to do some of the things I mentioned during the lecture, which is be a fast learner, seeking to understand, and once you know what role you're good in, I found out that sales was where I gravitated towards quickly, and then I got into sales leadership, and it didn't really matter what industry. If I went from financial services, where I'm selling an intangible for retirement plans for people to have security when they retire, or I then pivoted into technology, the same skills to sell and to manage salespeople, those can move from industry to industry. You need to learn then, you've got to go back to school, so to speak, to learn the products and understand. Sometimes you go from intangible products to actual physical, tangible products. But yeah, I think the innate skill set that you have in whatever role you are in, it can transfer. You bet.
So the next question will be, after spending years in corporate roles, you decided to purchase and operate your own business. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced transitioning from corporate to executive entrepreneur?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's the $64,000 question. I also mentioned during the lecture that I felt that I was a closet entrepreneur my whole life, and that after 30 years in business, it was time for me to come out of the closet and embrace my inner entrepreneur. You don't know what you don't know. And you may think you know what's on the other side of a doorway, but until you actually cross that threshold, you really have no clue. And, a friend of mine who was the CEO of a company in Seattle was the one who put that thought into my head and said, Bob, you've done sales, you've done business development, you've done operations, you've managed teams, you've sold directly. He said, you should go buy a business. And so he's the reason I went and researched and found a business. Now, once I got through the door, it was a much different thing than I was expecting. I didn't know, as I said before, being chief cook and bottle wash, having to wear all the hats, legal, HR, finance, accounting, sales, business development, everything. It's overwhelming. And I've known other people who bought businesses but have had partners, and it'd really be nice to have had somebody with me along the way. Like people who go to a gym, they like to have a workout buddy. Then I like to have somebody who can spot me. I was alone and I had employees. So it was I use the phrase, bucket of cold water when I bought the business. I hope that answers the question.
Continuing on this same topic, I want to ask you about, you saw that here there are a lot of entrepreneur aspirants. So for this enthusiastic students, what are some common misconceptions people have about buying and running these small businesses and in order to grow them up?
Well, it's a great comment and question. the aspirants, as you put it, right? Everybody here is an undergrad, and it was amazing to me that close to, I'd say 30 to 40% of the respondents said they wanted to be entrepreneurs. As I mentioned a minute ago, until you walk through the door, you don't know what the other side is going to be like. So, you know, I make sure I answer the question. Make sure I got the question right. You're saying, what are some lessons I can share with them about that before they walk through the door, or?
Yeah. What can you? What are some? What do you say?
Well, do you want me to give them some advice?
Yeah,
or
more than
did you
advice,
maybe ask?
what do you think are some misconceptions about?
Sorry, misconceptions. Thank you. I think everybody thinks working for yourself and running your own business is where it's at. And I think that is a huge misconception. I didn't realize the amount of safety and security that comes with working for a company that's got money in the bank, that you know the paycheck is always going to clear. When it's your own business, all the things I mentioned before, where you're wearing every hat in the business, when it's a small company, you're doing all the HR stuff, the hiring, the firing, then there's legal stuff that comes up, and you've got to manage cash flow. I think, and it makes sense, young people haven't done it yet. But once they do it, they're going to know if they want to continue to do it. So I would suggest that somebody go work for a very small business alongside of an owner to see if it's really what they want to do versus taking the plunge straight away and buying a business.
Okay, Professor, what excites you the most about the current business landscape? And where do you see the greatest opportunities for growth and innovation in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Wow, that's a good question. What excites me most currently is just technology and what's happening. Years ago, a guy who was a founder of Intel chip maker, there used to be this thing called Moore's Law, where the rate at which things change and speed up, it would be every 18 months, the rate at which technology can process would double in 18 months. Now that's been compressed. Moore's Law is out the window. With AI, everything is about AI these days. I think technology, what's going to happen both with business, and I really think with healthcare, with transportation, it's already happening with the number of EVs that are out there and EV-related companies. You got space travel that's probably coming up not in 5 years, but you've got companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' company, going up into the clouds, into space. I think there is no limit as to what technology is going to be able to do. However, personally, I am fearful a little bit of the reliance or the hope of what AI can do. Because for me, AI is only good as what human beings put out there for AI to go seek and find. And I still think there is so much that human beings need to learn to then impart to whatever database or cloud that AI is pulling from. So I fear that some companies are going to become too reliant on AI, and it might kind of actually dumb our workforce down a little bit. And people may call me a naysayer for that, but I'm either right or I'm wrong. We'll see.
Our next question is, you've led teams of various sizes in different industries. So how did you adjust your leadership style depending on the size of the team or the company culture?
Great question. So smaller teams, I would directly manage everybody on the team. When I manage an inside sales team, an outside sales team, that was me to them. As I moved up, when I went away from being a frontline manager to then managing managers, it's different. So frontline, you're hands-on, you're more directive, you've got to pulse on what's happening day to day with your team. When you move into being a manager of managers, you're not in the trees going through the forest. You're above the trees looking out ahead into the horizon. And that's what I was doing. So I was more involved with corporate leadership. I was helping to empower my managers as they were managing people. And in fact, I was one level up from that, where I had site leaders managing managers who were managing employees. So I think my role became more of a coach from a direct manager of day-to-day work, and I was helping to maybe inspire and guide my people managers so that they could do their job, and I was maybe more behind the scenes helping to set the direction for the department.
Thank you.